everybody, welcome back to I Care for Your Brain with board-certified neuropsychologist Dr. Karen Sullivan. This is free brain health information so you can be your very best brain health advocate. Please be sure to subscribe for more in-depth science-based brain health information. Tonight's topic is why you will never see me on TikTok. I have been doing free brain health lectures here on Facebook and on YouTube for 5 years. And the reason I'm here is because it's free. It's free for you and it's free for me. And I want this information to be more widely accessible. We are really here because this free format allows us to go into depth with important brain science information. Most lectures we do here are between 30 and 40 minutes and take about 6 to 8 hours of preparation. What I typically do is review hundreds of hours of science-based peer-reviewed literature, condense it down according to what I think is important, what I think you might think is interesting, and then present it to you in a presentation. One platform that I don't think is the place for getting your science-based information is TikTok. TikTok started in 2018, but really hit its stride during the pandemic. This is when the mental health of so many of us was really falling apart and isolation was at an all-time high. 2020 was its most popular year. This was when they had 850 million downloads. Now, don't get me wrong, I have seen, just like you, some very compelling personal stories on this platform. And I do think that sharing personal stories is really the best way to increase awareness and compassion and empathy specifically for mental health issues. I love those. I know that those stories are what pull people in and give humanity to what so many of us study scientifically. And that's key. That's really important to what I do. We have to put forward the human part of the story, but also educate about the science-based knowledge and the interventions. Words and research only take us so far. It really is the compelling human story that really teaches us the deep stuff that we all really need to know. But where I take exception to TikTok is when scientists and healthcare providers are on there offering 30-second snippets of information. I just think that it's far too brief and fools the public into thinking that complex topics like mental health, including brain health, can be distilled down into a 50 to 30-second clip. When TikTok first started, you only could publish something that was 15 seconds long. In 2020, they extended the time to 60 seconds by letting creators put together 4 15-second segments. And in 2022, to try to attract more advertising, they now do have a 10-minute option. But most videos are still 30 seconds or less. In 2022, the most popular length was between 21 and 34 seconds. TikTok has been called digital fentanyl due to its addictive qualities. And from a brain health perspective, we know that this is because of the rapid and intermittent nature of the reinforcement. So psychology tells us intermittent reinforcement is the most powerful way to increase a behavior. Totally ignoring a behavior is called extinction, and that makes it completely go away. The key to getting more of human behavior is to occasionally reinforce, to occasionally provide the reward when you don't really know it's coming. Just kind of think of a slot machine. This really comes down to one reward, and that is the dopamine rush. And so part of what makes TikTok so addictive is that the users get a very rapid but yet still intermittent dopamine spike as they're scrolling. Have you ever watched someone scroll on TikTok? You can't tell me that it doesn't look like addict behavior. TikTok has more than 1 billion global users, and those users spend on average an hour and a half per day on this app, which is more than any other social media app. Research also tells us people go on to TikTok thinking it's just going to be a 5 to 15 minute thing, but most people spend more than 2 hours on the app. And in fact, just this week, TikTok announced that it would be implementing a default 1 hour time limit on the app TikTok for users under 18. And basically what kids would have to do is they or their parents would have to re-enter the password after 60 seconds. And the idea is that this is to give kids a reminder, basically knock in on this alternate reality that they are still on the app and they can be aware of pausing to basically go on and do things in real life. So it's concerning because when you track the amount of time that young people spend on TikTok, it actually goes up exponentially with their symptoms of depression or anxiety. Most TikTok users, about 85%, are between the ages of 14 and 18. So these are very malleable, yet to be fully developed brains. The term TikTok brain has actually been used to describe the issues of addiction, including withdrawal, that often happen in these folks. So one of the key things from a cognitive perspective that is concerning is that people who use TikTok, if you look at the research, have shortened attention spans. The more they use it, the more they find longer format videos boring. And 50% of users said that longer videos over 60 seconds were, quote, stressful. So when you understand this data, I think you can see how, as a brain health scientist, this is concerning to me, but also for someone who is very interested in consumer packaging of health-based information. TikTok is great for comedy and an occasional stress reliever. But again, my concern is this idea that it is being used as an exclusive platform for people to get their mental health, brain health, lifestyle-based information. So TikTok has also been criticized for spreading misinformation and encouraging self-diagnosis. So I found one research study I thought was interesting, where they analyzed 500 mental health videos, and they found that 84% of the information was misleading. And in fact, 14% of the information could be considered potentially damaging, like suggesting certain medications without talking to a doctor. So what they really analyzed in this study was what topics seemed to get the most misinformation, and it was attention deficit disorder, bipolar disorder, and depression. And their conclusion was that 90% of the content around these topics contained at least one element of misinformation. That is worrisome. Over 500 of these videos that they picked to study had been viewed 500 million times and received 3.5 million likes. Only about 9% of the people who were discussing mental health on this platform had relevant qualifications and medical training. Now, I don't take too much of an exception with that, because I do believe that people who live it are also experts. But the concern again is that we are giving a very brief understanding of a very complex human health condition and distilling it down to something that is just too simplistic. The hashtag mental health is the most common tag on TikTok, with over 54 billion views when you tag a video according to that hashtag. So my concern is that this is shaping what we consider to be healthcare information. So why is TikTok so popular? Well, a lot of us are out here suffering. Society is kind of stressful right now, if you haven't noticed. We also have continued poor access to care, and it's also just highly addictive. It's literally hard to put it down once you've started. Unfortunately, we do still have too many barriers for people to seek, obtain, and receive mental health assessments, diagnosis, and appropriate treatment. So a study 2 years ago looked at over 50,000 adults and showed that 96% of them reported at least one barrier towards healthcare access. That is way too many. So some of those barriers include not knowing who to call, not having good enough insurance, not having insurance. Co-pays for sessions are average of $25 to $50. This can be prohibitive. And self-pay sessions are typically around $100, which just puts it out of reach for far too many people. And 85% of Americans own a smartphone. So there's never been greater access to free information, which in some ways we would think is very positive. But again, like, my concern is that we're using things like TikTok as a primary source for people to get their quality and quantity of healthcare information. So I'm concerned that some of the creators on these platforms that just offer the 10, 20-second, 30-second videos are more interested in getting likes than they are in providing the free, high-quality information that I think is so essential to getting out to the public. Think about how much time it takes to prepare a 15 to 60-second video. It's a very low level of commitment. That's not to say that TikTok can't do some good and expose new audiences and open doors for people. Getting the word out about mental health is really half the battle. Knowing that it can not be as stigmatizing as somebody might think to say the word depression, or to understand the various subtypes of anxiety, or to understand the very basic difference between normal cognitive aging and the fact that dementia has all of these subtypes. All of that is awesome. But what I wish is that these creators would then recognize that these are very, very brief snippets of information, and then migrate people over to other platforms where they can go past the typical 30 seconds and actually provide a service to the public by really, truly educating them in depth. I think it is fun, some of the doctors' TikToks that I've seen. There's one cancer specialist who every day he makes a 15-second video about his bow tie that he's wearing, and they're really cool, and they have all sorts of beautiful colors and designs. And then he's got a link over to his YouTube page where he goes into 15 to 30 minute examples and free lectures about what's going on in the body when someone has cancer. That I love, that I approve of, that I think it is great. I like that TikTok can also reduce the hierarchy between doctor and patient. That's something that I think we really need to work on. It's not the truth that the doctor contains all of the knowledge and all of the expertise. I do love that platforms like TikTok allow patients to pronounce their expertise to the world and to be able to communicate their experience to large groups of people. It's probably therapeutic for them, and it's helpful for all of us who struggle with something to see another person go through it. But I have to say, I do think that these messages have their time and their place. It just can't be the full or the complete picture of how we get our healthcare information. So my number one tip is don't take TikTok too seriously. Find other places to get more in-depth healthcare information. There's a lot of good free stuff out there on the internet. You just have to find it. So let me know what you think. I'd love to know your opinion on TikTok. Do you think I should start a channel, or should I stick it out here on YouTube and Facebook? Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.